So greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking. I am Dale Barzi. And as always, if you like what you see and hear, subscribe. Leave us a comment and let us know what you think. And here on Nurses Talking, we speak to nurses anywhere on the globe, any stage in their nursing journey, from students to retirees, and in any and every specialty. And so today I am very pleased to welcome Mr. Anthony Colón. And Anthony is a registered nurse of greater than 25 years, a former travel nurse, an entrepreneur, and a mentor. And Anthony started an agency, which he says the motto is survive and thrive. And the mission statement is to develop long-lasting mentoring relationships built on trust, kindness, and respect with the professionals who dedicate their lives to caring for others. I think that's huge, Anthony. I love that mission. I love that mission. I think it is huge. So welcome, Anthony.
Thank you, Dale. I appreciate you inviting me here to do this and all.
It is. Uh-huh.
You're right on. I mean, that's my background. I have a lot to share. I have in my heart to mentor those that want to make an impact in nursing, perhaps even globally. And that's why I'm doing a lot of the things that I'm doing these days.
Awesome. I love it. Because in the last couple of years or so, I think that nursing has taken a bit of a bad rap. So I love it. I want to see us get back on our feet. Mm-hmm. So firstly, though, I like to know, for me, the why is always big. So why are you a nurse?
Well, my mom was a nurse.
Okay.
My sister was a nurse. Started in college looking to become a athletic trainer, personal trainer, perhaps even looking at physical therapy. But athletic training didn't have the income that I needed, considering I was accumulating a lot of college debt. And I did the math, and my mom's like, have you ever considered nursing like mom? And, at the time, I was thinking, wow, geez, there can't be that many male nurses out there. And sure enough, I went to a military school, and just me and one other fella in the whole class, right? And but fortunately, he didn't make it. But I was able to do well, and I haven't looked back. And I even got some CNA under my belt.
Yeah.
And went on to get board certified in behavioral health nursing, and really have been in the trenches since you can consider nursing school, since like 93-ish. So and then I knew I saw the writing on the wall. Like you said, there are a lot of issues going on in nursing these days, and we as nurses, I think, are in position to really make a change and for the better. Ultimately, where we can impact patient care, safety, satisfaction, and we can propel our profession to the next level, and really, establish ourselves as the leaders in healthcare. And so that's my take on it. I mean, there's a lot of even some funny business going on in healthcare these days. From travel nurses kind of being blamed for perhaps some of the mismanagement that's been going on for years by C-level executives. Now it's the travel nurses that have, it cost them so much money. Now they're in trouble. It just it just doesn't make sense. And so there's a lot of areas that need to be addressed. And so hopefully leaders can step up to the plate and we can make a difference.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I want to talk to you about the travel nursing thing a little bit, but before that, you mentioned that when you got into nursing, um, there were only two male nurses in your class.
Right.
So what kind of challenges did that present to you getting into this female-dominated profession with just a couple of men?
You know, the extraordinary part is it went super smooth. I was very well embraced. I was supported. I recall when times were tough, when I was in the Army and the Army wasn't paying me my GI Bill. Times were tough. I was having trouble with even purchasing my books.
Mm,
And, I remember my instructor, who was a nun, um, pulled me aside and said, I know things are tough for you right now. Here's $20. Go take care of yourself. And I knew right there and then that if this is the type of people, colleagues and all that I'll be with in this career choice, then I'm all set. I'm going to be okay.
yeah.
And um, and really, I've been very, very happy with my choice, and and I've been respected and looked at as an asset.
Mhm.
So I appreciate that. And from a clearly female predominant profession.
Yeah, yeah. All right. That's pretty cool because one of my big things as more and more men started to come into the nursing profession, and I really try to get us or nurses within my particular sphere anyway, to stop referring to them as male nurses.
Right.
They're nurses, you know. Let's leave it there and don't kind of caption, because once you start studying people aside, you start telling them that they're a little bit different. They don't quite measure up, and that's not so.
Mhm.
So not the truth. So and we're getting past that. I'm noticing we're getting past that. We're just
Yes.
the nurse.
Yeah. I don't refer to myself as a nurse. I've heard that before. Before
Oh,
combination of male and nurse, and
no,
that
no.
doesn't fit me.
No, no, I've never liked that setting aside. But anyway, so what kind
Yeah.
of areas did you work?
I pretty much jumped right into behavioral nursing, and
Mm-hmm.
did some dialysis, um, nursing as well, and did a travel nursing gig for a little over a year, and really have nothing negative to say about it. Had a great experience. And geez, if it weren't for my wife being 7 months along, and it, it made sense to perhaps settle back
Wow.
down and
Mm-hmm.
come back home. And but although Dominic was born in Fishersville, Virginia, and I'm from Maine, I think that's kind of funny that that's where he was born, and never thought one of my children would be born in that region. But
That's what happened.
so back
Yeah.
home when I came, and I reestablished myself here. Fortunately, my boss is like, "Oh, thank you for coming back. Here's your role. Here's your position right back." I rolled right back into my old position, and that's where I've
Yeah.
been. And then so over the last few years is when I've really started looking at building a travel nursing agency with some very unique qualities. And you mentioned that with that nice intro of me. Thank you. And emphasizing mentorship. And I had some background in that area, trained in my hospital as a preceptor slash
Yeah.
mentor. So that's really what intrigued me about the concept. And I thought to myself, if we all did that more, I think that would make a huge impact, especially with people that are recently graduated or anybody that's really looking to expand their specialty
Mm-hmm.
into different specialties.
Mm-hmm.
And so, over the years, I've really embraced the opportunity to do that with new folks that have come on board, in my role in
Mm-hmm.
the hospital, and really digged into the role of mentorship. I figured if I ever went on to get my PhD, I think that's probably I would do my
Mm-hmm.
ultimate
Your
thesis, the
your dissertation. Mm-hmm.
dissertation on, and all next level up in the PhD level in mentorship, and really start exploring that. And like I said, I think that if I could build a culture of mentorship in the travel nursing arena, then that's what would make things different with our agency, just not another agency.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. So some of the things that I hear, I've never done any travel nursing myself, but some of the things that I hear really, really like it, like the benefits of it. Um, you know, some people really seem to have a bit of a difficult time adjusting. There seem to be a lot of moving parts. So, what are some of the challenges that these travel nurses face? Because you know what, also there is a sometimes a little bit of resentment from staff,
mhm,
particularly about travel nurses who come in. So, what are some of those challenges they face?
mhm. That's correct. Well, some of these things are long-standing, but what has really amplified some of the cons, I guess you could say, is,
Mm-hmm.
of course, COVID. The housing market is
Mm-hmm.
really a challenging area now. Yeah, well, I mean, it's not animosity that other staff nurses maybe they do, maybe there's outright that level,
Mm-hmm.
um because but some are very appreciative of somebody
Right.
coming on board and helping, but things have gotten really magnified with COVID, where a travel nurse could be making, two, three, four times more than what a staff nurse was making on the unit that perhaps was doing more,
Yeah.
even more so than the
Mm-hmm.
travel nurse, because there are some, I mean, very short periods of orientation for a travel nurse. You really have to hit the ground running, and so some of the things that are really profound now is the housing market,
Mm-hmm.
with where apartments used to be, um, perhaps $1,000 a month, which used to be kind of droppingly high,
Mm-hmm.
but now those same apartments are going for, say, $2,500 a month. So there was some landlords that got I guess you could say price gouging. They saw that travel nurses were making a lot of money, and some of them could actually afford it at the time. But
Yeah.
the things have decompressed quite a bit,
Yeah.
now that COVID's toned down a little bit, and the rates to which and travel nurses are getting paid are not as high. There are some difficult times for travel nurses. Some nurses are traveling across country and getting there and finding out their contract was canceled, or they're mid-contract and they're getting told that now they're getting paid half of what they were promised in the contract. Hence the reason why some very big names in the travel nursing industry are being sued, in class action suits, hundreds of nurses are coming forward saying this has happened to me. My goodness, it's some of the things that I'm hearing is almost like mafia-like tactics that some of them are using.
Wow.
Strong arming, blacklisting, blackballing nurses, um, bait and switch. And it's a tough time to be jumping into travel nursing right now, although
Mhm.
the pay is still extraordinary. But a travel nurse or a person that's considering that has to consider things other than just pay. And there's, like you said, there are a lot of moving parts. It is a complex decision. And without that structure in place and that support in place, there's a lot of risk. So I think my thought is through mentorship and an agency that really has that culture embedded into their company, we can alleviate some of those
Yeah. Um,
downsides of travel nursing. And I feel if as long as they have somebody that's been there, done that, and having them under their wing with a mentor, taking somebody under their wing, then they can excel and succeed. There are so many good things to the travel nursing arena. But at this time, it would be kind of hairy for a nurse to consider travel nursing without a really good working knowledge of everything it takes. And, what are some of the stumbling blocks? What are downsides and cons and tips and tricks and answers and advice? That's really what I felt was needed in the industry. And so I'm on my way to that. I'd love to cover some of those points, in this session
mhm.
we're having on.
By all means, because I'm sure someone out there wants to know what they can do to at least mitigate the possibility of running into those kinds of things that you described. I don't imagine it's any fun to leave your family, let's say on the East Coast or on the West Coast, and fly all the way halfway across the country or across the country, only to find that things are not what promised you, and you know it's not ideal. Let me be the best thing I could say about that right now.
Right. And unfortunately, some nurses are being taken advantage of by some of these unscrupulous companies out there. And, so really in an effort to change things dramatically,
Mhm,
about 3 months, 3 years ago, I set forth to build a Facebook group for travel nurses or
okay.
people that are considering travel nursing. Set out to build a group that would give those answers, advice, tips, and mentorship to those
Mhm,
that are requesting it. And the good news is, after 3 years, we just hit 11,000 members in my group. Now, I've been very, very selective in picking who comes on board. And because it's a nurse to nurse, colleague to colleague kind of group that provides those supports, uh,
mhm,
then I really didn't want to have recruiters in there doing their thing. Um,
mhm,
and so I've been very selective. What we have is a really strong group of individuals that are either interested in or have been travel nurses, and they're doing their thing in the group, and it's growing 100 or more a week. So it's exciting times. Now that was my foundation that I wanted to build, because I wanted, if before I even started an agency, I wanted to have that in place. So fast forward, to fast forward here to now, we have
yeah.
all this in place, and so we're still in, if you would, say pre-launch, beta launch. I
Okay.
say beta. I say
Hmm.
beta because the agency also has an app that will help the nurse navigate all the facets of travel nursing. And those things need to be tested, refined.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's going to be one of their tools that they'll use while they're in the trenches, and to look for opportunities, to discuss opportunities, to get the support they need, um, and hopefully
Yeah.
24/7 really is really what ultimately this will provide. And and the ultimate goal is all of those cons, we can bring things down to a manageable level, not a
Yeah.
crisis level. Because right now, a lot of travel nurses are put in real difficult situations, and that's our hope to make a difference there.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that as I speak to nurses. That's one of the things I'm hearing. There are quite a few nurses just getting out of the travel thing because they figure it's not worth it to them anymore. The other the cons are not really worth it for them anymore. So um I really hope that works because it'll be a good thing for them to be a little more comfortable. It's hard to become to, just pick up and go across the country and be comfortable anyway, without having all the other extraneous things that impact that. So
Mhm.
it'll be great. Yeah. So what would you say though is your greatest achievement so far?
Well, I would, I think that the fact that I did set out to build a really strong group on Facebook, uh, that's in place.
And
So
it's successful.
all the
Hmm.
pieces that are there to help make this agency a success are there. Now, a particular uh, unique a unique thing that I'm going to be emphasizing as we progress and building this company is using uh, everybody's experience and feedback to um, make the right decisions within the corporate structure of the agency. So I'm sure your listeners have heard of crowdfunding, crowdsourcing. Well,
Hmm.
my concept is to have the community weigh in on even day-to-day decisions of the agency, and yay or nay. No, I think this would work better. Some examples that I've recently I've tested that concept, and it was embraced. For example, recently I suggested to the community, times I told them that times are tough in travel nursing right now, and a lot of nurses are being taken advantage of. I have some much more graphic words that
Choice words.
choice words I could use, uh, and some of them it's beyond their control. They may be naive, okay, give it that, but they could be put into circumstances that are beyond their control, and they could be in an emergency situation or a crisis situation. For example, you travel across the country and you land where you're supposed to be, and you're told, your housing has fallen through, your contract has been canceled, your pay's not what you expected, and you may be in a real pickle.
Yeah.
So I suggested to the community, could we or should we uh, have a emergency fund of sorts,
Hmm.
where we as a community, and I have board members of this emergency fund that will screen these requests and these horror stories perhaps, and really what we're going to do is, well, what can we do to help them?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that could
Hmm.
be it could be as simple as maybe they need a place to stay until they get situated, and maybe a colleague could help them in that respect or give them
Yeah.
some suggestions. It could be financial. And that's why I suggested, well, how about a GoFundMe page where we can have that in place
Yeah.
and in case. And, I had some people said, well, people could take advantage of that. And I said, you know what? I just I don't feel that nurses are going to take advantage of it. I think we can read between the lines if there's any funny business going on. But there's always there could potentially be somebody that abuses it. But
Yeah.
so the feedback was there. I went to the community. That is going to be part of the agency, something in that respect. But the good news is that if we can, and when we refine our business model, a lot of these things are not going to be an issue
Yeah.
because, we're forming partnerships for housing. We have the best insurance in place. We're going to have some fail safes, some parachutes, if you will, backup parachute in place to protect them and validate them. Things
Mm-hmm.
can go wrong no matter what we do from an agency perspective. There's some things that are be beyond our control, but we as an agency and as advisors, because we're not necessarily going to be recruiters in the agency, we're going to be advisors, and that along with the mentorship community should help get them back on their feet and back on solid ground if things go bad. I guess it's not a matter of if it will, it will. It's a
It
matter of
will at some point. It will at some point for someone. Yeah.
sure, sure. So something like that. And I asked for feedback on improving the mentorship piece of the community. We have 10 mentors that are really invested in the process of that. We're always looking for mentors, and that's why I'm excited to share this with your network, because I think that besides the solid agency, besides the mentorship piece, we need experts in the realm of self-care. We need experts in the realm of all the pieces of self-care. That's great. We need experts in finance. We need experts in how to bring your ideas that you've learned in the trenches of traveling to other nurses and perhaps change the world. Maybe perhaps even on a global basis. So that's why I think it'd be great to have some of your folks, consider coming into the mentorship community of the group. And that way I can, list them as experts
As
and
resources.
mentors
Mm-hmm.
and resources for those particular areas that they're experts in. And with everybody on board supporting this travel nurse, I think we're going to be okay. I think they'll be okay.
I am glad you mentioned self-care, because that was going to be my next question to you. Was going to be like, what does self-care mean to you? Because as you talk about this, you talked about all these things that surround, but in all of this, nurses still have to pay attention and take care of themselves. So what does self-care mean to you?
Well, for me personally, there's when a nurse works with very challenging situations, they can become traumatized by that. It's secondary trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something you can muscle your way through. It's not something you can dismiss. You have to recognize it, that it could happen, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to be preemptive. You have to have a plan in place. You kind of have to have a foundation of good, strong coping skills, and hopefully those that reservoir that you're building up of all of those support networks and self-care tactics,
Yeah.
all of those things will help get you through those tough times. And I think validation is a really important piece. People validating themselves that their feelings are real, and that
Yes.
most likely we all feel the same way.
Yes.
Um, that if they need help, then most facilities have employee assistance programs. They should be ready to have, they should have those things in place, ready to, for really what is the inevitable, that times will get tough. You'll
Yep.
be as essentially traumatized by some of the things that you see here and in the trenches. I say that a lot because I look at it as sometimes a battle, and it's and you're in there. Um, so no sugarcoating. These are nursing profession is difficult. There are some huge challenges that we're dealing with now, and so I think the biggest thing about self-care is preparing yourself, and having some of those tools ready for what's inevitable that you're going to be experiencing. And I hope that, when I was thinking back in nursing school, they didn't really emphasize that as much as
Yeah.
they could have, should
Hmm.
have.
Hmm.
But I'm hoping that that's something that's really emphasized, because it impacts quality of care, it impacts longevity, it impacts mental health, it impacts physical,
Everything.
emotional, spiritual. Um, the whole person can be
Everything.
impacted by it. And without you being as strong as you can, ultimately, you're probably not going to be as efficient or as good a quality of nurse as
Exactly.
those patients deserve.
Deserve.
And,
Hmm.
because really, ultimately, really, we're here to provide the safest, highest quality level of patient care, and that's that's something that I want to emphasize, of course, too, with the travel nursing agency, is that uh, I really want you to enjoy the awesome parts of being a travel nurse. Have a blast, but let's not forget there is a patient there that
At the
we
center of it all.
focus on, the center of it all, and that so we need to be patient centric and care centric, and but not, you got to have a balance as well too. You got to save some of that energy for yourself and your self-care.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I speak of this often, almost every day, because we tend to, as nurses, to give to everyone else and forget ourselves and forget ourselves.
I'm guilty of
I,
it. I've done it.
yeah, we
And,
all have.
there was times where I thought that I wasn't going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But through God's grace, I'm still here, and doing my thing.
Indeed, indeed. Anthony, what is the name of your agency and how can people contact you? Because I would like to put that in the description box at least.
Right. Well, I think I really want to emphasize the group, which
Mhm.
is
Your Facebook group? Hmm.
yeah, the Facebook group, which is Travel Nursing Answers, Advice, Tips, plus Mentorship. Maybe the
Okay.
longest named group on Facebook, but that's okay. But that's what we do. It's
Tips plus
a
mentorship.
long,
Okay, and
yeah.
that's how you find. Okay.
Yeah, and if you type that in, you'll find us. The agency that is really at the ground level right now is called Fenix Health Staff. Why do we choose the Phoenix? Have you ever
Mhm.
seen the Phoenix bird?
It's rising,
And
huh?
they rise from the ashes.
Hmm.
Okay, and that the Phoenix never really dies, it's just reborn. Okay, and I like to think of the next phase of nursing is us rising from the ashes to a new, greater
Better
goal,
than
bigger,
ever.
bigger than ourselves. And Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. 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 And that is a huge dream. That's a huge vision. I like it. I like it. It's what I want to see happen. Because we can't we carry healthcare on our shoulders, regardless of what anyone else says. We carry healthcare on our shoulders, and I think that we ourselves need to recognize that. And if we recognize it, those around us will recognize it also.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Anthony, thank you so very much for this conversation. It's been a blast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
I'd love having you. Maybe we can do this again sometime.
Super. Great.
Alrighty. Have a great day.
Okay, take care.
Okay.